Pressure fittings versus drain waste and vent fittings. You might go to a hardware store and you'll notice that it has both pressure fittings and drain waste and vent fittings, but you're not really sure which one to use for your project. Pressure fittings are used in applications where a liquid or gas can be forced through the fitting with a pump. You'll often see these on pressurized water lines. Drain waste and vent fittings, also known as DWV fittings, are used in applications where a liquid can flow through the fitting with gravity, or air can be sucked through the fitting on a vent line. Now these fittings come in many different materials. Here I have black iron and PVC. This is a black iron pressure elbow. You would usually see these on gas lines. And if I screw a nipple into one of the hubs, you'll notice that it leaves a lip on the inside of the fitting. Now for pressure applications, that's fine, because the liquid or gas would be forced past the lip. However, on drain lines, where there's solids that could be flowing through the fitting, they might get caught on that lip, creating a clog inside the fitting, so you should not use these pressure fittings on drain lines. Some codes do allow these on vents though. Now if I take the same nipple and screw it into a drainage fitting, you'll notice that if I were to screw this nipple all the way into the fitting, it would touch this edge, not allowing there to be an exposed lip for solids to collect. So you need to use these drainage fittings for drain lines. Now same goes for the plastic fittings. Here's a PVC elbow, and you can see how there is a lip on the inside to cover the edge of the pipe so that way solids don't collect. Now here's a PVC pressure fitting. It does have some sort of lip. There's not much, so that won't cover the edge of the pipe, and that will allow solids to collect inside of this fitting. Now you also need to remember that you can't use drainage fittings on pressure applications, and that's because these drainage fittings aren't made to withstand high pressures. If you look at this hub, you'll see how much more shallow it is than the pressure fittings hub, and that's because these pressure fittings need to hold onto the pipe really well so they could withstand pressures that could be anywhere up to 80 pounds of pressure. Whereas these, they're only made to withstand about 0 pounds of pressure, so the hubs don't need to be deep. Now another important thing to remember is that a lot of drainage fittings are directional. This is a double sanitary tee, and you'll notice that these two sides are directioned down into the bottom of the fitting to allow water to go down into the fitting. And if I set this fitting on a flat surface, you'll notice that both hubs seem to point up. And that's because they're molded or tapped in a very specific way, so that way the pipe goes into the fitting with pitch, not allowing there to be clogs. Now, how do you know if it's a pressure fitting or a drainage fitting? Well, the easiest way to tell is if it says on the fitting. This is a drainage fitting, and you can see how it says DWV, which of course stands for drainage and vent, so you know that this is safe for drain waste and vent applications. Now on the pressure fittings, it'll usually say NSF-PW, that stands for potable water, which means it's for a pressurized application.